Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2017 Mercedes-Benz E350D 4MATIC all-terrain. Now this is part of the 5th generation E-Class that has been in production since 2016. This is the estate all-terrain variant that has a 29mm higher ride height, external plastic cladding to help protect the body from scratches and scrapes while going off-road, and 4MATIC permanent 4-wheel drive system with a 3169 front-rear torque split. So yeah, the only real difference between this and the normal version that you would have on-road is obviously the lower ride height, not that got that plastic cladding, and some versions won't have the 4MATIC 4-wheel drive system. And yeah, this game, only difference between this and the real life version is the tyres, which as part of the Top Gear update has some off-road tyres on it, which unfortunately can't change to the normal kind of tyres that this car would have. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm really glad this is on the game, because I've always liked these more off-road orientated estate cars, like the Subaru Legacy I think it is, or the Subaru Outback, or even the Subaru Forester. And yeah, I've always liked those kind of versions, and yeah, normally we only get estate cars on Forza games from Audi or Volvo, so it's actually nice to have an estate car from a different manufacturer for once. And yeah, because I'm a big fan of sporty estate cars, I think they're a slightly better variant to a sporty saloon, because obviously you get a bit more practicality, and yeah, sometimes estate cars are a little bit rarer than their saloon variants. So yeah, and I really do like this car. I like the look of it. It's got a really rather nice interior, got nice accent wood, got plenty of leather, it's got a nice amount of equipment to it, and yeah, just really nice and simple, but rather elegant at the same time. And it's got a fair old amount of space in the back as well. As you can see, nice and spacious, but it's also light and airy at the same time, which is, yeah, a big thing for me as far as I'm concerned, because there's nothing worse than an interior that doesn't have much in the way of light. And yeah, being an estate car, it's got a huge boot, which is again a massive advantage over a saloon version of an E-Class, because obviously it wouldn't have the hatch, and yeah, it wouldn't have that kind of boot space either. And yeah, like I said, overall I do like the looks of it. I like the extra additional bit of paintwork on the grille and the front bumper there. Whether or not that's part of the standard car, I don't know, but yeah. And yeah, the engine is fairly impressive as well. And now, as you would have guessed from the name of the car, it is a diesel engine. It's a 3-litre turbocharged V6 with 258 horsepower and 457 pounds-feet of torque, which is fairly immense, to be honest. And yeah, for a diesel engine, it's also not that heavy in terms of upfront weight, because it's got a 51-49 front-rear split. So yeah, it's fairly well balanced as well for a diesel engine front engine car. Unfortunately though, this engine has been phased out since 2018. 2019 onwards there's only an inline 6 variant available. Now granted, that does have more horsepower, but it does have about 14 less torques, so not quite as torquey, but yeah, more horsepower, which is obviously an advantage, and yeah, obviously makes it a bit more sporty of a vehicle. But yeah, even in this form, it's really rather good. And yeah, you can obviously get an even more powerful version than this. You can get the E400D, which again has well over 300 horsepower, and is, I think, even has even more torque. So yeah, as far as diesel engine cars go on this game, it's easily the quickest, and not the most powerful, because the Hummer H1 has more power, but this has a lot less in the way of weight. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what it can do. So granted, because it has a diesel engine, it's not got the most exciting sounding engine in the world. And yeah, it's got a lot of gears as well. It's got a 9-speed automatic gearbox, which for me is a little bit too much, but it does mean that they can make the most of this car's horsepower and torque, which is essential when you're dealing with a diesel powered car, because yeah, a lot of that power and torque can come quite in big lumps at times. But despite that, and the fact that obviously this car is a fair old amount of weight, being a large estate diesel car at 4,431 pounds, it's still pretty sharpish, in particular because of that torque. So yeah, it can do 0 to 60 in 5.870 seconds, 0 to 100 in 17.397 seconds, and going to a top speed of about 144. though apparently it can do 155, and I've got it up to around 148, 149 on a slight downhill bit. So yeah, it's fairly decent in terms of performance, far better than I was expecting from a diesel powered estate car, and especially since this isn't even the top of range version. So yeah, fairly impressed by it. Now granted, the newer version of this with the more powerful inline 6 diesel goes to 60 in about 5.7 seconds, so it's slightly quicker, but still I'm fairly impressed by this. And yeah, it's also really rather fun to drive with that all-wheel drive system being mostly balanced towards the rear. Means you can really get it sliding around at times, and yeah, it's really rather enjoyable to drive with that four-wheel drive system being more biased to the rear. Like I just said, it obviously does slide around a fair bit, but if you're more careful you get loads and loads of grip. And yeah, obviously that four-wheel drive system with a higher ride height does mean that you can go off-road when you so wish, which we're going to see now. And yeah, it's really rather fun to drive off-road. It's easily one of my favourite cars to drive off-road, so yeah, really glad to put this on the game. Now granted, like I said, I don't think it's entirely the standard version you would get in real life, because obviously it's part of the Top Gear update, and yeah, that was slightly altered. You probably saw that wire inside the car when we were in Forza Vista, trailing from the front to the rear. That's part of some weird upgrade or whatever, and it did have some extra roof accompaniments on the top that I took off. And I found this paint job on the paint store, because yeah, I didn't like the fact it had Top Gear stuff all over it, and the colour it was in that you get when you win it via the Top Gear Horizon story wasn't really to my liking either. But yeah, a cracking vehicle, and yeah, it really does make me wish we had more sporty estates like this that had a slight off-road orientated side to it. Now granted, you wouldn't have to have the off-road orientated side to it, but even so, I would like more estate cars on Forza games, because yeah, we just don't get them really at all. Like I said, it's only ever really been Audi and Volvo, and even then we only get one original one from Volvo, because we have the estate version of the saloon car that we've already had, and Audi only has one or two of themselves. So yeah, it does make me wish that we had more. Especially from Mercedes-Benz, because I would like an E63 AMG or something else that's really powerful with a big V8. So yeah, would really like that. But yeah, this is a cracking vehicle, and yeah, just goes to show that just because you've got a diesel engine and you're in a practical estate car, it does not mean that you can't have fun, be it on-road or off-road, because yeah, it will deal with both really rather easily. And yeah, it's far quicker than you would expect for a diesel engine car that weighs as much as this, and certainly shows up other diesel engine cars that we've had on this game so far. But granted, they are either heavier than this or have less power, like the Mercedes-Benz X-Class for instance, which is another diesel engine powered car that we've had on this game recently. And yeah, Mercedes-Benz really does have the weirdest and more varied collection of cars than any other manufacturer on this game. Because obviously you have this, you have the now you have the 6x6, you have the X-Class pickup truck, you have a hot hatchback, you have front engine supercars, and yeah, you just have a really, and you obviously have the car from the 1920s, and yeah, Mercedes-Benz really does have a great selection of vehicles on this game. The only one they're really missing is the 1970s Mercedes-Benz saloon car with that giant V8 that we had in previous Forza Motorsport games. So yeah, really do like what Mercedes-Benz have on this game, and yeah, this is easily one of my favourites from them. And yeah, if you haven't got it yet from the Top Gear Horizon story, then I highly recommend trying to get it, because yeah, might well surprise you just in how fun it is to drive, yeah, as it certainly did surprise me. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.